The LIT method is back. The LIT method is here to change not only your life, but everyone else's life in your circle. So, my name is Pearl. It's your girl, Pearl. I'm so excited to bring my client on to talk about her transformations during our summer program. And this client's in my world for a little bit, and I'm so excited. Hi, Drew. So excited to share the work we did together, how it improved her life. Hey, girl, I'll just invite you up to come share. And just like the power to emotional regulation and taking care of yourself, and just so many things that I talk about that can help you thrive. Hi, beautiful. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
So good. Are you outside?
I am. Yes, I'm on my lunch now, so just hopped outside real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to have this call on your lunch. I love your top. It's so pretty.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
Um,
Well, first of all, just share who you are, where you're from, what you do. Would love to hear.
yeah. So I'm Becca or Rebecca. I'm in the Bay Area in California. Right now I'm at a 9 to 5 in insurance and have been like working at building my own business online. Currently, like I'm taking a step back, which I feel like your method is helping me kind of work through that and figure out what I need to take care of first and how to fill up my cup first, before focusing back on that. Yeah. So that's pretty much the start or the introduction for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it. Thanks for sharing. And
yeah,
I would love to hear more about what you want to create with your business, like what your dreams are. I know you're still figuring it out, but I would love to share like what you're hoping to create in your life.
yeah, absolutely. So right now it's like back and forth between, of course, incorporating human design, like sharing that as a system, which I love, to find like your true self and how to like move through life without as much resistance. So like sharing that during readings, but also like helping with ads management because I do love marketing, advertising, and like Facebook ads. So I've been dabbling in that again and in offering that as a service, like to help with ads on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now with what I want to, have my business be about.
Yeah, I love that you infuse human design into it, and I love human design, and so that's so awesome. I know you're gonna figure it out once you get clarity and you're on your way. So I just like the first chat about, I guess, where were you before? Like, why did you start to work with me? What were some of the things you're experiencing in your days? And yeah, how did you feel like you wanted to elevate your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like what really drew me to you first is like your energy, your personality, but also how you brought up like emotions and kind of dealing with those in an unhealthy way at first, but figuring out how to move through them in a healthy way because I'm someone that deals with big emotions and like impulsive like actions with them. So that was literally the specific thing that drew me to your world and following you. And then just like how you have like these methods that help in that way, move through that, with the movement or with the healthier habits to help with that, your nervous system, like this all encompassing, thing for you. So that's what drew me to following you into your world.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love to hear that,
Yeah.
and it's so great that you were able to join. And so I'm curious, when you were first thinking about joining, what were some of the things that you were experiencing that you were like, oh, like I really want to shift this? Like, oh man, like for you, was it more emotional? Was it more your habits? Like, where were you at before you started working with me?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, I would say those two things, emotions and habits, like either, trying to really like press them down in an unhealthy way or like letting them just come out without taking like a second to think, hey, let's work through this in a healthier way. And also like impulsive habits, like to kind of in connection with emotions, like to kind of soothe myself, my nervous system and find those like bad habits that I think would be like, well, this is what I need to get through, but there's other habits that you can get the same results in feeling better for yourself that are healthier, better habits for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. No, I love
yeah,
that. And so when we worked together, what were some of your biggest takeaways from the work we did together, and what do you think helped you the most?
yeah. Yeah, so I think definitely like starting off with the food, you really helped guide me with better nutritional habits, adding in, more plants, more vegetables to every meal, like how big of a difference that does really make. especially right away. So, I've been more gentle on myself on the days where I've kind of fallen off and didn't eat any, but I always pick it back up after a couple days. I breakfast, lunch, dinner, I incorporate plants, fruits, vegetables, which I didn't do before to that extent. And that just automatically, like my body felt less sluggish. I noticed like I was, losing weight, since I, joined that program. So that was like definitely the first thing that was like a big aha takeaway moment for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was so great to support you
Yeah.
through that, especially around your eating
Hmm.
habits and just incorporating more nutritious foods into your diet too, so you can feel better.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, what other things did you see shift? I know we talked about your emotional regulation. I'd love for you to
Right.
share more about that shift within what the work we did together.
Yeah. So definitely like when you brought in, nervous system work and help with that, that really like gave me a tool to work on like calming myself more to where I wouldn't react as much in the first place. So doing like breath work, humming, meditation, like just randomly throughout the day, like I noticed it would start helping me not feel as emotional right away, say with like a customer, that was getting crazy, I'd have more patience and be able to breathe and answer from a less emotionally impulsive way, or just, other difficult times throughout the day where maybe I would be sensitive to something someone said and would think it was an attack normally, but then I would take a step back and like, am I, is that true, or is it just an emotional reaction, or how I view it? So things like with the nervous system work, that really helped like change my perspective and change how I was able to regulate my emotions for
Yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
know. I think it's so awesome that you shared that, and like also being more mindful and present with your emotions and taking a pause before. And these are things that no one teaches you. So it's so important that you were able to incorporate that. And it probably made you better at work. Did it improve how you worked and like how you feel?
Absolutely. Oh, yes. So it would like when I would want to like just argue back and forth with a customer, I would take it from a more professional, like, of course, I would stand up for myself if it was really bad, but from a neutral, like professional point of view, and not feeling like we were triggering each other, like, and starting an argument back and forth. So for sure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love that, and it
Yeah.
probably made you like your job a little more too, because we're having
Yeah.
as many like maybe emotional conversations, and I just think it's beautiful because that tool like applies everywhere. And I'm wondering, did it affect your relationship at all? Did it improve your relationship at all? Because I know you have a boyfriend. Did
Yeah.
anything in that realm change for you?
Yeah, so I think it has, like, I've looked through that lens differently now. Like, we still have our moments, I think, because that's more of a personal relationship. So it's a little harder to step back, but there's improvement. I do realize, like, certain things, like, I hear from my point of view that I misunderstand, or I don't, I take a second to be like, don't react right away, from an emotional point of view. So yeah, it has helped definitely with that as well.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
like emotional relationships, like intimate relationships are so like even me, they're so close. So it's like
Hmm.
very hard to be totally regulated. But I think the more we work on this, and it's still a work in progress for me, we become
Hmm.
just better partners in the long run overall. So I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm really curious to know, what would you say surprised you the most about working with me? And what things were you like, oh wow, like that's really cool. I didn't realize that. Were there anything that you were shocked by working with me?
Yeah, so I think like learning about how much the gut is the second brain and how important that is for health. Like I know with your video for that, like explaining how, like certain habits can damage it and, cause all, the leaky gut symptoms, and, you want to try and prove that with the fiber, with the probiotics. And it just, that was like a new thing I had never, knew before. So that was like a good thing to know, like how important gut health is for your mental health as well, not just physical, health and stomach issues. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember you were like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" Like you
Yeah.
learned so much about that. I find it's like people don't understand the impact. That's why it's so like your gut health is everything, especially with your mental health. So I'm so happy you made those shifts, and you're incorporating more exercise
Yeah.
and plants and all the things into your diet. And so,
Yeah.
how would you describe working with me? Like in your own words, how would you describe like my coaching or like my approach? And yeah, well, what did you like about it?
Yeah. So I love that, you're of course like honest and you give like small actionable steps and you like hold us accountable for it, but also you're like, hey, we're not perfect. It's not all or nothing. Like that's the biggest thing I think, other clients would agree to is like, I love how you're like, it's not all or nothing. You don't have to beat yourself up if you fall off the wagon, just get back on, create those little steps, those habits, but of course while still holding us accountable. So that's what like I love about like your coaching, your mentorship for sure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
thank you so much. It's so
yeah,
important to, yeah, just be okay with being like you're human. We're
hmm
human. We're imperfect. And that is a beautiful thing. And so when you just allow yourself to be human, but just keep moving towards your goals, it's really beautiful. And I know you had a lot of shifts. I'm wondering, how did you change your self-talk and your perception of things? Like, how has that improved for you? Like, how you speak to yourself or how you treat yourself? Like, has that changed for you?
yeah. Absolutely. Like I definitely am more gentle with myself, if I'm not perfect, if one day doesn't turn out like how I wanted it to be or expected, didn't do everything perfectly. I'm definitely more gentle, like, hey, you're human, or I'll kind of look like at the day as this is what was good that happened, like look at the good things instead of like the negative and just be like tomorrow's a new day. So definitely, yeah, I talk to myself differently and I see things differently for sure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Self-talk is so important. And like, I think it's just so, we don't realize like how much we speak to ourselves in the way that doesn't work. And obviously, probably from childhood stuff, like, our
Mhm.
upbringing. But when you change your mindset and your positive self-talk, it really changes your perspective on the situation and how you're more likely to approach it and like stick to your goals. So I love that so much. And so I would love to hear more about for you. What have you done in the past that didn't work, and why do you think this method worked for you?
Yeah, so I think like in the past, it was more so like I had this all or nothing mindset and that, would think like I'm not going to see results. But I think with this program, like all the little baby steps and the layers to it, like, incorporating, whether it's food, nutrition, nervous system, like emotional health and like figuring out like what you can avoid in your life or what, like how to manage stress. And like how you taught that, like I think having all those layers to it is different than what I had before, and like kind of be more gentle with myself with the process for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
yeah,
So it really was more like the approach you took to it and
hmm
the mindset shifts and like the overall holisticness was what really supported you to sticking to it. Does that sound right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful. And so what were some of your biggest shifts or results or outcomes that you were really proud of that you created in that program we did together?
Yeah, so I think like just enjoying vegetables more, like with my nutrition, like having better like eating habits and incorporating more nutritional things and vitamins, minerals. Also just with the nervous system and emotional regulation, being able to take a step back more. And even if I do have a moment where like I'm sad or just distressed, crying, like I kind of am able to like just let myself have that emotion and then kind of release it, which is something you teach too, is go ahead and release that emotion, right? And then you kind of like move along and, you didn't suppress it. You let it out and you didn't let it grow like bigger and bigger. So I think for sure that's helped a lot as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like the biggest things for you were your nutrition, eating more
Mhm.
vegetables, liking vegetables more,
Mhm.
supporting your gut health, and then the piece around, yeah, emotional regulation and allowing yourself to feel and release the emotion, not let it
Mhm.
become this big thing. And I know
Mhm.
emotions can cause such a big impact on how we move in the rest of our life and day. And so those are two really huge things. I just want to say how proud I am about the work we did together and how you showed up, and even though I know like we weren't perfect and that's okay, and there was things that we were still working on, but you were able to really come here and lean in for support and share your insights and share what you're eating and what you were struggling with. I think that was so important. And so what do you think made the coaching container really supportive for you? Like, what was the biggest impact for you in terms of the coaching container itself?
Yeah, I think definitely how you would check in, and it was very much like you would. like tag us and be like, hey, like let us know, even if you're not doing the actions, like share with us if you need the support, share with us. So definitely I think the fact that you were very there and present and actually checking in, and kind of being like, hey, like what's up? So that for sure made a huge difference.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my approach. And I think resistance comes up a lot, especially around food, especially around emotions and your
Hmm.
well-being, and like, depending on where you're at in your health journey. So it's really important to have like, hey, just checking in on you. Hey, are you okay? Like, hey, like nudges, because it's
Hmm.
so easy to avoid. It's so easy to be like, oh, no, I didn't eat perfectly, so I'm not gonna go check in with Pearl. So I want to
Hmm.
create a really warm, safe, welcoming environment to be like, hey, come check in regardless, like where you're at. Like I don't care, but it's more about having that conversation, that dialogue, right? And so, yeah, that's so amazing. And so I'm curious to hear now, since it's been like a couple months, what are some of the things you've been able to stick to and continue after working together?
Yeah, so I think with the eating habits, also like definitely like remaining active aside for like spraining my ankle, unfortunately, but like remaining active with walks during lunch and getting out and just movement, and like walking again. So I would say those. I do want to get back on track with kind of getting up every hour. If you remember like the squats you had me do like at work because it's a desk job. I kind of stopped though. So I'm like, oh, I shouldn't let the embarrassment like hold me back or feeling self-conscious. I think like that was like a fun little break in routine. And it is like you mentioned, like physically good for you, especially if you're sitting down for hours to get up that often and do a little something, something. So that's one that I was doing at first that I want to incorporate again for sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely need to get back into that
Yeah.
too. Anyone watching too, if you sit a lot, get up every hour, do some squats, do some movement, do some stretches. There's so much research that shows how important movement every hour is, especially if you sit at a desk
Mhm.
job. But I think it's so awesome that you're still sticking to like your movement, and even though you sprained your ankle, like you're still doing what you can and you're eating. And so, because I
Yeah.
think what is the difference in your mindset around sticking to these versus before? Because I know before you weren't consistent. So what do you think has helped you be more consistent now?
Yeah, I think just it's almost become second nature now. Like I kind of like want it because it's like a sense of like for myself accomplishment knowing that I'm like nourishing my body and I feel like the difference when I do these good things, versus like maybe in the moment you do something else that's not as good for you and you get that dopamine hit, but then you feel like more sluggish, more tired or guilty. And I think it's kind of like as the time goes on, it's just second nature. And like for me, I like once it's second nature, then it's like, okay, I want to keep this up. And I noticed, that it just the benefits as well and feeling better for sure.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
love that because
Yeah.
once you get started, you're like, oh my God, like I'm feeling so good. Why would you ever like, obviously life happens, but you want to
Right.
keep feeling good and you want to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go back to that habit. I'm going to keep eating well. I'm going to keep moving my body. I'm going to keep walking because you want to feel really good, right? And so I think
Mm-hmm.
it's so great that you're still sticking to it because one thing that I know that happens to all my clients, it's really cool that they keep doing the habits even if we're not working together. And that's how you know you've actually made the shifts on a deep mindset level that allows people to keep working on their goals even without you as a coach. And so it makes me really proud to know like, oh look, like
Yeah.
they're still doing the thing. And obviously we still have room for growth. We all do, but you're still
Right.
working on the things that we worked on together. And that's like such a beautiful thing. So great job. I'm so happy to hear that. And so I want to hear more like overall, like are you happier? Are you like what are some of the internal shifts? Like maybe it's a mindset, maybe you're happier, you're feeling more light. Like what are some of the things that have happened within you that have shifted?
Yeah, no, definitely feeling like happier. Like I'll feel a little more like energetic and lighter. I've noticed like clothes are getting looser on me, and I noticed like shifts in how like my body looks, and that feels good for me too, because I do want to get healthier. So I do feel like the second thing too would be like checking, internally like health and stuff, because I know, when I first started with you, I mentioned that like I was dealing with pre-diabetes and wanting to make sure like I reverse that. So like I think definitely like feeling that the difference for my health and even for like my weight, just in the sense of like, not feeling as like tired or winded or as like heavy, walking, working out, going up steps. So I think those are like huge differences as well that I feel for
Yeah,
sure.
No,
Yeah.
that's all beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's like the overall, as you work on all these things,
Hmm.
those are going to improve and you're happier, you're lighter,
Hmm.
you're more joyful, more
Hmm.
energized, and know that that gets better. Because one thing that people like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this, but the more you do it, the more you stick to it, the more you show up, you're going to feel better. It's going to keep getting better.
Hmm.
And it's just going to be this like never ending energy. People always ask me like, how are you so energized? Because it just keeps getting better. The more you work on it, you just get more energized and more happy and more light. So I love, love, love that. Oh, thank you so much for your time. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna ask you two more questions and then I'll let you enjoy most of your break. But what would you say to people that are thinking about working with me or on the fence? Like, what would you say overall about working with me and how it's improved your life?
Yeah, no, I say if anyone's on the fence to go for it, to work with you, like it's amazing. It definitely, it's not, all this theoretical stuff. Like you give practical, easy, like actionable steps. Like it's very informative and, you notice the change. And like I said, the support, you keep us accountable. Like those are also valuable. So definitely I would say like, do it, you won't regret it. You really want to see the changes in your life. It's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. Hmm.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
so sweet. Thank you
yeah,
so much. And
yeah.
I think it's like people often hesitate to invest into their health and themselves. So I'd love for you
Mm.
to share like what were your hesitations around working with me or like is it gonna work or what thoughts kind of came up for you and how were you able to work through those thoughts on your own?
Yeah, so I think like just from the past and like subconscious in society, like just being scared, like if I didn't stay on track, like what you would think, or being scared to say anything, right? Like you were mentioning, if you didn't do something that day, we might have been hesitant to show up or check in. And I think that's like my fear with things like with in general working with someone is you're scared of like messing up or not doing what you're supposed to do or take the action. So for me, it was like once you were really like, no, it's not all or nothing. Show up if you need the support. That's like an aspect of it too. Part of the process is if you didn't do something, show up. And, so I think that kind of working through that helped that block as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
for sure. That's
yeah,
so powerful. Would you say
yeah.
that was the biggest block you had, or was there anything else that came up for you when it came to like investing in your health?
Um, I would say like maybe that was sort of the biggest block. The one other one I would say is like, is it going to work for me? Like, am I going to see the changes even if I do something? Are they going to be big enough changes for me? Or how long is it going to take before I see anything? So I think that definitely not as big, but something as well that was like a block for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's a common one too. And
yeah.
what did you experience in the container that made you feel better about that? Like when you were starting to see results, like when you were like, oh, it's working for me. Like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so I would say like on the scale, like when I was seeing that I was losing weight like within a week or two, and then the notices I changed with nervous system and stuff like that, and being able to, separate myself. So I think like in how good I would feel like taking some of those actions, you sing, hum, or do all these other stuff, journal, like how you feel good so quickly. I think that those were like showed me like, hey, it is working. You got to show up and just keep going little by little every day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Keep
yeah,
going little by little every day. I'm so happy to
yeah,
hear that. And it
yeah,
is definitely possible to see results sooner than you think. And so that's something
mm,
that comes up a lot. So thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for sharing your
yeah,
insights and being open to hopping on live. It was a
yeah,
pleasure to connect with you as always. And I just want to say, keep it up. I'm so proud of you. Like you're doing amazing. And I know you're
yeah,
going to keep progressing if you keep on with the habits, with the actions, and everything we've talked about. And I'm always here to support you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always come into my DMs. If anyone's watching and wants to learn more about working with me, just DM me. But Rebecca, thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your lunch, and I'll
yeah,
definitely talk to you soon. If you have
yeah.
anything else to say, you can share it. Otherwise, I'll see you soon.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. And yeah, we'll talk soon for sure.
Amazing. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. All right,
Bye.
bye. Mwah.